A devastating earthquake of 7.8 on the Richter scale hit southern Turkey in the early hours of February 6, 4:17 a.m., with epicenter in the Pazarcık district of Kahramanmaraş province. The earthquake affected the neighboring provinces of Adıyaman, Kilis, Osmaniye, Gaziantep, Malatya, as well as Şanlıurfa, Diyarbakır, Adana, and Hatay, where around 13.5 million people reside, including around 2 million Syrian refugees. According to WHO, the affected regions in Turkey and Syria are home to around 23 million people, including 1.4 million children. Many aftershocks followed the earthquake, and a second major earthquake hit the region after 9 hours with 7.5 magnitude, causing serious further damage and destruction of damaged buildings. According to the latest official statements from Turkey, 17,134 people lost their lives and 70,347 people are injured. There are 11,302 reports of collapsed buildings, of which 6,444 have been confirmed. In Syria, already wrecked by more than 11 years of war, it is reported that more than 3,162 people have been killed. The death toll is expected to rise as rescue workers and residents have been searching frantically for survivors under the rubble of crushed buildings. Due to risk of further damage as a result of aftershocks, people are not able to go into their houses, therefore staying outdoors in the cold and rainy weather. As of noontime on February 9, a total of 30,360 people had been evacuated from the disaster area. Hatay is one of the most severely affected provinces in Turkey according to the latest updates, with multiple major buildings collapsed, including Antakya and Iskenderun public hospitals, AFAD premises, Directorate of Disaster and Emergency Management Agency, and Gendarmerie headquarters. The airport runway is damaged, causing problems for airplanes to land. At the end of the fourth day, rescue teams are preparing to leave the area. Earthquake response and coordination is still limited in Hatay, where people are in urgent need of life-saving assistance. Support to Life (STL) has been operational in the affected provinces of Şanlıurfa, Diyarbakır, Adana, and Hatay provinces since 2013, providing protection and livelihood support to refugees and host community members. Being provinces heavily populated by Syrian refugees, STL has been running community centers in these provinces, including one in the Narlıca neighborhood of the Antakya district of Hatay, the site of newly constructed apartments collapsing in the earthquakes that hit Turkey has sparked anger. The BBC examined 3 new buildings, turned to rubble, to find out what they reveal about building safety. 2 major earthquakes measuring 7.8 and 7.5 on the magnitude scale flattened buildings of all kinds and killed thousands of people across southern Turkey and northern Syria. But the fact that even some of the newest apartment blocks crumbled to dust has led to urgent questions about building safety standards. Modern construction techniques should mean buildings can withstand quakes of this magnitude. And regulations following previous disasters in the country were supposed to ensure these protections were built in. In the first of 3 new building collapses identified by the BBC, social media footage shows people screaming and running for cover. The lower half of an apartment block in Malatya is seen crumbling, leaving the remainder standing at an angle over dust and rubble. The apartments were newly constructed last year, and screenshots have been shared on social media showing an advert saying the building was completed in compliance with the latest earthquake regulations. All materials and workmanship used were first-class quality, the advert claimed. While the original advert is no longer available online, screenshots and videos of it circulating on social media match similar adverts by the same company. The recent construction means it should have been built to the latest standards, updated in 2018, which require structures in earthquake-prone regions to use high-quality concrete reinforced with steel